Okay, let's explore double top stitching. So when we go into our segment top stitching, if we'd like to change some of the parameters and make it 2 lines of top stitching, we can go into our default top stitch. I'm going to go back. I think this is set for 2 already. Let's go back to 1. If we highlight our top stitch line, I'm going to do both sides, or maybe I'll just do one so we can really see. I'm going to go to edit and delete that I just added. Okay, I'm going to go just add a top stitch to my, my yoke line here. If we go back into our default top stitch, double click on that, and instead we add 2 stitches here, 2 lines of stitching. You can see it adds those, and you can choose to use the same specifications or uncheck them. And if you uncheck them, it means that you can then go in and make the 2 different stitches slightly different. So let's say you wanted red top stitching for the first one, and for the second one, you wanted blue top stitching. So you can change that. Okay. You can also now change the distance between those lines of top stitching up here. So distance from stitch 1, you can now change to 1/8. Okay, that separates them out a little bit, makes it a little bit more realistic as double top stitching. If you really felt like it, you could change the stitches per inch. You could change the distance between, all the parameters that you want, provided that these are 2 separate lines of stitching that are independent from each other. Okay, and again, just like usual, when you change the default for this, every time you add any line of top stitching, it's going to do the same for all of those lines. If you would like to have the top stitching on your yoke to be slightly different than the top stitching that's going down the center front, you would simply have to add a new type of top stitching, or you can copy what you've got and then just make small changes to that. So if you wanted to copy what we just did, and instead of having blue for that second line of top stitching, you have another different type of red, for instance, you would then have to apply that new top stitching to whatever seams that you're doing. Okay, so there you go. I just dragged it onto the seam I'd like to change, and it changed the top stitching color as I specified. Okay, so again, you can set different types of top stitching. Just make sure that you change or add while you're in Object Browser for the top stitching. And again, as you go into each of these, you can change the parameters for each of your stitches independent with each other, as long as you do not have the Use Same Specifications checked. Okay, have fun.